Deportivo have reported just in, Chelsea are ready to trigger Diogo Costa's €60 million release clause to seal the Porto goalkeeper. Xabi Alonso has identified Costa as his final marquee signing of the summer rebuild. However, S. Johnson Sport has reported that reports of Chelsea's interest in Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa have been downplayed. Now, there are two things to this. We've been linked with Diogo Costa for a little while now, and I've given my thoughts and opinions. A lot of creators have, a lot of you guys have in the comment section as well. I think he would be a huge upgrade on Sanchez, who is now injured. So maybe we're forced into buying a goalkeeper if this injury for Sanchez is worse than expected, and we're going into the season with Pender's automatically number one without playing Prem football. Whether or not he's ready, I think we'll soon see what his capabilities are in pre-season, which will be good to see. And then we've got the likes of Sharman Lowe and Slolina fighting out for number 3. So maybe Chelsea get backed into a position where Sanchez is going to be out for a few months, and we need to go get a number 1 keeper that Penders can fight for, and maybe we offload Sanchez later on. Obviously, Jorgensen. Apparently, there's been some stalls in the negotiations for the contract with him going to Strasbourg. I don't know why that is. There's not really been much noise about it, other than it's hit a stumbling block, apparently. Maybe we keep Jorgensen if Sanchez is going to be injured for a long period. I don't really know. Chelsea are doing this whole stealth window thing where we're linked with a lot of players as normal, but then we go, oh, we're not interested in that player, and then we go sign them anyway, like Marco Palestra. Morgan Rogers came out of nowhere. Jordan Henderson, Welbeck, they came out of nowhere. It's just like, bang, we're going to go get these players. And all the while, we're still linked with the likes of Lacroix that went on for a long time, and all these other players, right? So maybe there's an element of that for Chelsea and Diogo Costa. I think he's an elite keeper, and I think he should be playing in a top 5 league. I'm surprised no one else has made a move for Diogo Costa. And this window for goalkeepers, there's not many of his level or above that are available. Donnarumma made the move last year. Mike Maignan still potentially available. Diogo Costa obviously is one of the best ones that are available this summer, so it makes sense that he will get a move, and I think that he will get a move to the right club. He's made it very obvious that he's going to move from Porto in terms of it would be an Atletico, it would be a Real, it would be a Barca, it would be a Chelsea, an Arsenal, a Liverpool, like a proper top team, which makes sense for him. He doesn't want to move sideways, he wants to go up. Fair enough. Otherwise, he's going to be more than happy at Porto. So again, this is one that's very interesting for me. I'd happily take him. I think he'd be a fantastic sign. And some people were saying in the comments he's a bit shorter than Sanchez and things like that. I just think in terms of Xabi Alonso's system, I think he would just play the system a bit better. He can play out from the ball at the back quite comfortably. He's a great shot stopper. I just think he is an upgrade on Sanchez, regardless of his height. I mean, yeah, all right, you could argue that people score long shots more, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, just we've had the tallest keepers, the shortest keepers, and we've had good ones and bad ones, ultimately. So, I don't know. I quite like the links with Diogo Costa, but I'm very confused. I think, obviously, Mundo Deportivo is like sort of Portugal outlets. Of course, they're going to try and drive some hype off of the Portuguese players. Of course they will. No shade on them. But it's not just those that have reported that we are interested. There's been quite a few people over the summer window so far. But S. Johnson Sport from The Athletic has basically said they're downplaying it. So maybe there is an interest, and Alonso has said that he is assessing the goalkeepers. So maybe there is something there in terms of he's not ready to make that decision yet, but he is still undergoing that assessment of the keepers. So maybe we see a Diogo Costa transfer to Chelsea near the end of the window. Like I said, if Sanchez's injury is worse than it should be, or worse than it is expected to be, and Alonso makes that decision to go, do you know what? Penders ain't quite ready as a number 1. He needs a season as a number 2. Sanchez is out. Go get me Diogo Costa because we need a decent keeper. Who really knows? So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Diogo Costa and the links to Chelsea. Apparently, we are ready to trigger the clause. €60 million is a lot of money. It's about £50 million, £55 million. A lot of money for a goalkeeper. I know obviously we spent more in the past on the likes of Kepa, etc. But regardless, it's still a lot of money for a keeper. And do you think that the whole talks of it being downplayed works in our favour?
Sort of like a Hollywood script that you would see it and go, that would never happen in real life, but it has happened in real life. And Arthur Ferry, who started out 114 in the world this Wimbledon, is pretty much into the world's top 50 after this. He's put out Flavio Cobolli, the 9th seed, and he hasn't just put him out, he's absolutely blown him off that court. It looked quite nip and tuck at the start of this match, but the first set was 6-4 to Ferry. Then it was a tie break, 7-6, and he dominated that tie break, as he has all of his tie breaks this Wimbledon. And then in the last set, I think Cobolli was just broken, and he won that set 6-love, did Ferry. Very, very comfortable in the end. And the guy from Wimbledon, he lives just up the road. His parents, Loic and Olivia were very emotional watching him. I don't think Olivia, who started him off as a tennis player because she was a tennis player for France herself, could quite believe what she was seeing. And she was sitting there in the members' enclosure with Alison, who was his first coach from a club just up the road here. And both of them couldn't believe the tennis he was producing, really, under such pressure. It's only his second time on centre court, and it was an extraordinary story. And he said in his post-match interview, you know, how are you dealing with this? How are you going to deal with the semi-finals, where he will face the French Open champion Alexander Zverev? He said, I don't know, we're just kind of figuring it out as we go along. This is very much uncharted territory, but he has huge belief in his game. He has a game that he can mix up, he can slice and dice, he can really bamboozle opponents, Arthur, and he has always had this skill ever since he was a small child playing red ball tennis. He has always had this ability to battle out a point until literally he cannot give any more in a point. He's like a wall, and he kind of has to be at 5'9". You know, it's never going to be to his advantage, but his movement is so good. He's so fast, and his fitness is so good. It really saw him over the line today. Very hot here at Wimbledon, you know, just searing heat. But
Stamford Bridge doesn't usually panic about goalkeepers. Not with the money that's already gone through that door in the last 18 months. But right now, behind closed doors at Cobham, there's a conversation happening that could reshape the entire spine of this Chelsea side, and it starts with a name that Porto fans have been dreading for over a year. Diogo Costa. Today we're breaking down where this stands, why the timing suddenly matters, and what three completely different corners of the football media are saying about it, because Sky Sports, Fabrizio Romano, and the reporters closest to the Portuguese game are not all telling the same story right now. And that gap is exactly where the truth usually hides. If you're new here, this is where transfer stories get pulled apart properly, no filler, no guesswork dressed up as fact. Let's get into it. Let's deal with the obvious question first. Chelsea already have goalkeepers on the books. So why would a move for a 26-year-old Portuguese shot stopper with a release clause in the region of £70 million even be on the table? The answer isn't really about who's currently in the building. It's about who Chelsea's recruitment team believes will still be performing at the level they need 3 or 4 seasons from now. This is a club that has built its entire modern identity around buying young, buying for the long term, and refusing to be sentimental about a position the moment they think an upgrade is available. Costa fits that model almost too neatly. He's entering his prime, he's a full senior international, and he's already proven himself in Champions League knockout football. There's also the release clause itself. In an era where genuine value in the goalkeeper market has all but disappeared, a fixed, negotiable number attached to a player of Costa's profile is the kind of thing recruitment departments circle on a whiteboard. It removes the guesswork. It removes the drawn-out haggling. Either the money's there, or it isn't.